Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. This picture might look a little bit different than usual. That's because I'm using my Panasonic camera instead of my Galaxy S10 smartphone. I figured break this out, get it some use out of it again, and take you for a little adventure today. As you can see behind me here, there is some sections of abandoned rail, and this is part of the Erie Railroad, and I'm going to share some information about it, and we're going to follow the tracks here and just see how it looks today on a cold, chilly, dreary November afternoon. And I don't think we're going to find anything really of interest, but I just want to show you how a truly abandoned set of railroad tracks looks in modern day. And who knows, maybe we'll get lucky and find something worthwhile to share with you. But we're going to walk the tracks here. We are in Lackawanna County, and these do lead past the famous Rocky Glen amusement park. And we probably will walk down to that distance and then probably turn around and head back. But these tracks do go for miles in different directions here. And again, as we continue along, I will share some details about the history of the Erie Railroad. So if you're ready, come along with me. So as you can tell by the trail here, this is more or less a popular ATV trail now. But the tracks obviously were never removed and are still sitting here from their last use. Now, a few things I could tell you is that the Erie Railroad operated from 1832 to 1960, starting out in New York and New Jersey. A merger in 1941 moved the rails west to Chicago, passing through Pennsylvania, which is where we are today. In 1960, the Erie merged with the DL&W, which is the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western Railroad, to become the Erie Lackawanna Railroad. In 1976, Conrail took over, and it was a short-lived operation. By 1983, most sections became abandoned or sold off to other railroads. But today, any surviving routes of the Erie Railroad are now operated by Norfolk Southern. Now this section here, I don't have an exact date as to when it was last used. I'm sure some of you watching could probably fill in that blank. My guess is probably sometime in the late 70s is when this last saw any rail service. But I do know sections of it where, like the Jessup Viaduct is, operated until the early 80s, which was through Conrail. But as to when these tracks last saw service, my hunch is sometime in the mid to late 70s. But again, if you know better, you're welcome to share your knowledge. Now if we look down through the woods here, there is more trails down there. But also, it's where the former Laurel line used to travel through. The Laurel line was a trolley service that operated from Scranton to Wilkes-Barre, and it had a stop at Rocky Glen Amusement Park. And I'm going to be making a video on that separately in the near future. But that only has a 3-mile section in existence that's operated today by the Electric City Trolley Museum for their trolley excursion. But all the remnants of it are either abandoned or no longer there. The rails were ripped up, but they did border each other here, the Erie and the Laurel line, for a section of track here, section of woods, if you want to say. So even though videos like this don't have anything really exhilarating to share, it is still a piece of history. And those of you that know me and have been following my channel know that I love anything related to railroad. Whether it's model railroading, steamers, diesels, the history of it, trolleys and streetcars, anything with passengers, freight. I have an interest in it, you know. Some people don't understand why, others do. And if you do, you would get why I'm making this video, you know. I'm doing it to share the history of what took place, you know, before my generation and long before that, you know, dating back to the 1800s. Just knowing that, you know, rail service was an important part of transportation before automobiles and still used today for freight. And there is talks, which there's been talks for a long time now, of reinstating rail service from, I believe, Scranton to New York City. And I think that would be a phenomenal idea, because right now most people take bus trips and it's not fun sitting on a bus for 2-3 hours. But rail would be much more efficient, change the scenery, and it'd just be a really cool, awesome experience. I know I would definitely take them up on taking some trips to New York more often if I was able to go by rail. But unfortunately around here there's no passenger service such as Amtrak or anything else, unless you head further south by Philadelphia and stuff like that. But maybe one day. I might be an old man by then, but if they offer rail service to New York from Scranton, be rest assured I'll be buying a ticket. Now, one thing that's not uncommon to find along abandoned rails is sections where people dump their trash, and that's what we have right here. Looks like there's a computer monitor, a couple TVs, which I'm not surprised to find, because to recycle those actually costs a lot of money. So people generally come to areas like this and discard of it to avoid having to pay any fees or fines. But if they get caught, you'll be paying a lot more than you would if you were going to recycle it. I don't think there's anything really worth snooping around through. Definitely not a bottle dump. It is more or less. Looks like those are just TV shells. I wonder if people took the insides of it. Now, bordering us on the left-hand side, you will see a guardrail up there and probably hear some traffic. That is Montage Mountain Road. So, those of you who are local to the area know exactly where I'm at. Got a little flowing section of water there. Now, the one thing I missed about using this camera, as you can see, is the zoom. I'm able to zoom in really close and get some crisp shots of things further away, which I can't do with my phone. But what I'm missing right now with my phone is the wide angle lens, where you're able to see much more of what I see. Right now I'm kind of cropped in here. I'm holding the camera at arm's length. So you have to pick and choose what camera or what type of equipment you want to use based on the type of video you're making. But I knew for something like this that I potentially would need a zoom. That's why I brought the Panasonic back out of retirement, at least for today. But it's always good to have multiple options. But I do have my phone actually mounted on top of my rig here, so I can still capture some still photos and stuff. But I know that doesn't really mean much to most of you, but just share my thoughts. So that's where we just came from, that direction, and looking down the hillside here, just dozens of tires. For a second I almost thought it was like a course, like a BMX course. They used to line the trail with tires, but it looks like people just rolled them down there and they just ended up in a particular pattern by chance. But realistically, the best way to explore something like this, at least if you're not filming it, is by either mountain bike or ATV or dirt bike, because walking, you get to see things you may miss, but it does take a considerable amount of time to do this, but I don't mind. I'm out here getting some exercise, getting fresh air. and making more content for you guys. See that right there? That is the ski shack, which is along Montage Mountain Road. They sell, service, and rent equipment for Montage Mountain. I never knew there was a house behind it though. All right, so this is why I'm walking this trail, because I just stumbled upon something pretty, I want to say, I'm hoping pretty interesting. It caught my attention though, but on the left-hand side, you can see it's kind of carved out here. There's water flowing, which goes underneath the ground here. But when you look down, see there's sections of wood there, almost like a trough or a channel or something. I'm not sure if that was man-made or if that was just thrown there, but let's get down there and check it out. So I just came down this little bank side here, and lo and behold, this is man-made. There's a big pipe coming out, and this water is to help send the water further off in the distance. That's actually a first for me. I've never seen something like this constructed out in the woods. It reminds me of like what the miners use, you know, when you go sifting for your material for like gem mining and stuff. It's like a larger scaled version of that. And it goes underneath the railroad tracks on the other side. And down here you can see some significant ice cubes, icicles, not ice cubes. Let's see if we can get you a better shot of that. This is definitely a pretty cool discovery. I never knew they actually constructed things like this. I thought, or what I've always seen is just a pipe coming out dispensing the water, but this is actually a man-made wooden trough. It's kind of falling apart, but still cool to see though. All right, let's get back up the hill and keep moving on. Now I do know if we continue walking far enough, we will come upon something that's pretty cool. I discovered it when I made my video walking back behind Rocky Glen Lake to see what's back there. Well, Rocky Glen Lake is fed by Stafford Meadow Brook and some other springs, and they constructed tunnels for the Laurel line and for the Erie Railroad to cross over to keep that water flow unobstructed. So at some point we should come across a drop off from both sides for a tunnel with water flowing underneath it for the Erie Railroad, and then there'll be somewhere down there where the Laurel line would have tunnels as well. So there's a wall starting to form along the rails here. You can see some of the icicles that have formed from the colder temperatures. Here's a nice long straight shot. I'll zoom in just to show you how far it goes down. So it looks like it goes about 100 yards and then banks to the left. So I'm not going to film the entire journey, obviously, because it's just going to be what you see right now. But I will keep my eyes open and see if we can discover any new items to share with you. Something I want to point out too, down in the land where we're pointed, which is down here in the valley off the bank, it's a big flat open area for the most part. There's water down there now. And up in the distance, it banks up and up. Interstate 81 is up there. But down here though, for those of you that are interested or believe in Bigfoot, this would be a fantastic area to explore because it's very expansive, for the most part wide open, and also places where they can make shelter or hide or do whatever that they do. But might be an area worth checking out sometime in the future. just to maybe do a nighttime video and see if we encounter anything that we can't explain. Now some people are able to get some information from inside the rail, so I'm going to show you here up close. I'm going to slowly pan across, see if you can make out anything here. USA, I saw that. There's a number there. Is that 1929? So I'm guessing that's the date that these rails were manufactured. So I'm curious as to how shortly after that they were installed here. So based on the information I shared earlier, 1941 I believe is when they said they merged with companies to move out west towards Chicago, cutting through Pennsylvania. So 1929 I'm guessing is the date that the rail was manufactured. So we're looking at roughly 12 years as to when it was manufactured and finally brought here to be put into service to connect the line from New Jersey, New York out to Chicago. So that's my assumption. If you guys have obviously more details or the accurate information, I'd love to hear it. But that's one thing I love about doing stuff like this, though, is even though I'm not extremely knowledgeable on anything that I do show, I do like to try to formulate my own guesses and to see if I can maybe in my mind work out what I'm looking at, how things took place. But more often than not, though, I do rely on my viewers. You guys are super knowledgeable, extremely helpful, and I've learned a great deal of things from you guys over the past few years, even from abandoned houses to things out in nature to everyday stuff like this. So if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it, but I wouldn't be true to myself if I didn't try to speculate and form my own guesses, seeing if I'm even in the ballpark of things. But who knows, maybe I'm right. Okay, so we're making some progress. We're looking back at the direction I just walked from. As I pan back down here in the valley, really hard to tell. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to maybe try to help show you what I'm going to explain. Where's it at? Right there, you can see it's kind of discolored and kind of clear back there behind the tree line. That is the rear portion of Rocky Glen Lake, so we did reach the lake part. There's no water there because they did drain the lake almost a year ago to do dam repairs, which have, as far as my knowledge, have not taken place. The lake remains just a small puddle right now, but we know we're getting close to the park. And I checked Google Maps, and further up around the bend here, still got a little bit to go, but we should come across one of those bridges I explained before. I think once we reach that, I will show you parts of it, and then we're probably going to turn around and head back, because if we keep going, it does cross over Route 502, and there is a small section of these tracks that are used for I think it's the Susquehanna-Luzerne Railroad, I believe. If I'm mistaken, I will put that on the screen, but there's a local freight railroad that uses a section of it going over Route 502 to make deliveries to a business near the old Go-Ex powder mill. I did see them actually the one day going over the bridge over 502. I'm like, holy crap, there's a train there, and lo and behold, that is a little spur switch, spur line that they use to get to a switch for their delivery, which is just a few hundred feet away from that area. But so we're not going to go into that area because it is actively used. But I just remember that, thinking about it, that there is a small section of Erie Railroad used other than Norfolk Southern, just for a, I think it's a manufacturer of homes. I think they build, I forget what they're called. They, you know, the homes they construct, they deliver them on trailer. But I did witness them delivering box cars there and loaded flat cars. So just in case you're curious as to where it goes, but just continue on past there, heads down through Lower Music, Avoca, and then towards Pittston that way. So walking further down, you can see the landscape is changing here. It's kind of flattening out, and now you can see clearly where the lake bed is. Let me find a little clearing up here. I'll zoom in and give you a better look at it. Yeah, right there. There is frozen puddles there, but normally that would all be underwater. But if you guys want to see what the exposed lake bed looks like, and even my tour around the lake, back when it was still water in there, I will link both those videos down below. But definitely still empty. Don't know if it's ever going to be refilled, but there's a lot of rumors speculating that they're going to develop down here. But you figure they would want lakefront property, so they would need a lake. But that's a whole nother topic for a different time. Just a random side note here. The weather today, I think it's in the low 40s. It's overcast, a little bit breezy. This is ideal weather for me to do exploring and going on adventures, because I don't sweat nearly as much as I do in the summertime, if at all. But the one thing I do have a problem with is colder weather, and even when I eat, my nose runs like a sieve. No matter how many times I blow it, it just keeps, I don't know what it fills up with, but it just keeps running. I keep sniffling, and it makes for horrible audio. So I try to cut those parts out, but I don't know, for some reason I felt the need to share that. But we are getting close now. In the distance here, you can see the lake. That section does have water, but we are pretty close now to the bridge or tunnel that I was explaining earlier. So next time we pick back up with the video, we should be there. All right, we have arrived. Probably can't see from here, but on the other side of the tracks in the distance, there is water there. That's like a swamp. I don't know if there's an official name to it, but that is part of the water, though, that feeds into the outlet part of Rocky Glen Lake. So underneath these rails here, there is a man-made tunnel, which you could kind of see right there. Now I'm going to do my best to show you both sides of it. There is water still flowing through it, very minimal right now because we haven't had rain in several days, but we'll see if we get close enough to give you some good views of it. So here we are standing on top of it. I'm hoping these don't go anywhere, and you can see there's the walls of it, and that water does again flow down into the outlet part of Rocky Glen Lake. If you guys know what I'm talking about, it's a smaller section where it was kind of cut off with the little channel passage where eventually leads to the spillover dam. So let's take a look on the other side now, and I think it's even cooler over here. Oh yeah, you can see the top of it straight ahead. This one looks a little bit easier to navigate, so let's head down there now. I'll keep the camera rolling and we'll check it out together. Oh yeah, this is pretty almost dried up now, but it's partially dammed up actually. I think it's naturally dammed. sticks and debris. All right, this looks, I don't know, what do you guys think? You think this is man-made? I've never seen like this before. I don't think a beaver did this, but there's a considerable amount of material there stopping the water from flowing through. But anyways, I'm gonna pan over now and show you what my view is. Check that out. That is pretty cool. Now I have seen this before, but it's been a few years, but I always love seeing things like this, you know, man-made out of stone, hand-stacked, at the curved arch. And we got a chopper coming by. Let's get a closer look at it. There's actually people over there. Kind of startled me. I heard some noise coming down the hill, but I want to get over here and show you this bridge. Yeah, I'm pretty certain this is man-made. I don't know for what reason though, other than to retain water. But look at how cool this is. This actually curves up ahead. I'm gonna get some photos here. So many years ago, I actually walked through here. I was exploring back here. I think it was before I was doing YouTube actually. But I was wearing water shoes and I walked up the stream from the outlet, which led me to here. And the water is flowing a bit more than it is right now. When I was here last time, the water is probably at least over that block right there. But there's a cool breeze coming through here. You can smell some like dampness. The water is for the most part stagnant. It's moving very, very slowly because there is no feed coming in from the pond now since it's dammed up. But it is slowly making its way through, but there is some things living in here. I do see bubbles and some little ripples of water. So it's probably maybe, I don't know, tadpoles or frogs or something. But if you guys would like me to return though in the springtime or summer, probably summer when the water's warm, and want me to walk through here, let me know. I'll definitely return. We'll bypass the whole walk here and focus on this and the other tunnel, which is further down for the Laurel line. I don't know, I just think it's really amazing the construction of this. This is all done by hand. And whenever they installed this, it was probably the time when they built the line, 1940s, I'm guessing. I could probably guesstimate that would be the timestamp when this was constructed. But it was built to last though. But we're gonna go to the other side now and show you what the exit looks like from there. So we'll see you over there. Yeah, those guys over there really don't know what they're doing. I think it almost looks like surveyors maybe. It's a weird part to survey though. gonna get as close as I can to where I got before. But I did notice a couple of things I do want to share. So right here you can see water is actually flowing out from between the walls. So somehow it kind of made its way through the stone and is exiting here. Now, when I was here last time, even though it was several years ago, a long time ago, I don't remember these big stones laying here like this. Maybe one of them, which I can see clearly came from the top. I believe though someone purposely dislodged them in an attempt to dam it up. This was not dammed like this last time. As I mentioned, when I was here, the water was up to at least one stone there, which is over a foot high, and it was flowing through at a pretty good pace. So I don't understand if this was intentionally done, you know, with good reason, or if it's people just messing around for a lack of enjoyment. You know, I don't know. I'm not really happy seeing it dammed up because it's potentially stopping any fish or tadpoles or other things from making their way to the lake or wherever they're going. But I can't really get too close here. I'm actually standing on a log. But there is a railroad tie right there, which I was stepping on, which I should be able to get on again. But this water is clear, but the bottom though is like a reddish dark silt. So it's kind of weird how it's, you know, it is clear water, but it is very dark. But like I said, if I come back at a future time to walk through here, I definitely will bring my waterproof action camera, and we'll see how it looks underneath the water. So here is an old railroad tie. It's been here a long time, and it's serving almost like a little dam. So I'm able to step on part of it here, but I don't want to slip off. I'm wearing sneakers, which is not the brightest idea. Well, there's where the water continues down through that way to the outlet. And I'm going to try to spin around here without losing my balance. It's not the smartest idea, holding a camera. And this is as close as I could get you to looking inside. I'm going to zoom in. It should light up in there. Doesn't want to. Well, anyways, hang on, maybe up here. Doesn't want to light up, sorry. But it does bend around, and it's just basically the other side that we were looking down. But it is very cool. I just don't understand the reason for damming it up. Now just to show you too, I have a pretty big head, but you can use my head as comparison here for the stones. These are really big pieces of stone that they stacked. I can't imagine how they looked at these. So one final look, if we were to continue forward, on the left-hand side would be Glenmora Golf Course, and eventually will lead to Route 502 and the Turnpike, and a bridge that goes over 502, which is where they start using the short line railroad, which is, I believe, is Susquehanna and Luzerne. So this is where we're going to be stopping today. And once I catch my breath, I will do my outro and leave you from there. Okay guys, I'm going to conclude today's video here. If you enjoyed this adventure, I ask you to please give it a thumbs up. If you have any thoughts, information, knowledge, you're welcome to share it down below in the comment section. I love interacting with you guys, corresponding back and forth on my videos, and learning some new things from viewers like yourself. Remember, if you want me to return to walk through this tunnel right behind me, as well as the other one, comment down below. Say, yeah, I want to see you walk through those tunnels. And I'll return either with some muckers in the springtime or water shoes in the summer. I'll bring my waterproof camera and my smartphone, which has the wide angle. We'll walk through it together, stick the camera under the water, and make a video out of it. Otherwise, links down below you'll find, as I mentioned, for Rocky Glen Lake, showing the exposed lake bed, as well as me walking around the lake. I think it was 2 years ago in the winter time, and we actually did come upon the tunnels in that video. So I do have a long walk back to my car, but I had an incredible time today. Even though it was a gloomy day, I didn't really work up too much of a sweat, but I did get some exercise, burned off a few calories, which is always good, and made some more memories for you guys. So don't forget, if you're new to my channel, I do have links down below also for my Patreon page, which helps support future adventures, my merchandise shop, where you get some JPVideos merchandise, and my Facebook page, if I could talk, where I do share details, photos, and some content that doesn't always make it to my YouTube channel. Everything will be found down below in the description, including links to my equipment that I use to make my videos. So with that said, thanks for watching today, and as always, I'll see you in the next video. And we got the plane, boss, the plane, which I can't find on camera. Oh, there it is.